Well, the virus has now killed more than 100 people in China, and new cases have been confirmed around the world.
So you don't want to frighten the American public.
France and South Korea have also got evacuation plans.
But you need to prepare for and assume
strongly warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
That this is going to be a real serious problem.
France, Australia, Canada, the US, Singapore, Cambodia, Vietnam, the list goes on.
Health officials are investigating more than 100 possible cases in the US.
Germany, a man has contracted the virus.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
Japan, where a bus driver contracted the virus.
Coronavirus has killed more than 100 people there and infected more than 4,500.
We have to prepare for the worst, always, because if you don't and the worst happens...
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome to the War Room. It is Friday, the 19th of June, the year of our Lord 2020. It's the 155th, I think it is, Juneteenth, when the Emancipation Proclamation was read in Texas. That kind of officially ended the Civil War, the great War of Rebellion that took place, 150 years ago.
Actually, it's not quite true. The Civil War ended in April. The people in Texas knew it was over. The owners knew what was going on, but it took the Union Army to get to Galveston on June 19th. I'm actually going
to correct you. The Appomattox did not end the Civil War. Appomattox did not end the Civil War. There's still units. The Army of Tennessee continued to fight for another month. In fact, the Army of the West, I think, General Shelby actually took, I think it was 3 divisions or 4 divisions, and marched to Mexico to fight. So the Civil War didn't technically end on April when the surrender at Appomattox did not. That's the Army of Northern Virginia's surrender to Grant.
What year was that?
1865.
So did we have separate surrenders with all those other units?
So, yeah. I think Andrew Johnson, the Army of Tennessee, surrendered 30 days later. There was a big debate about all this. There was huge turmoil about what was going on and who was going to go fight in the mountains of guerrillas and the surrenders of these armies. It
huge
was quite
error to argue the Civil War with.
No. But one thing is, hey, the Emancipation Proclamation, this gets back to, you talk about the generals around Donald Trump. I mean, McClellan and these guys, General Petraeus, the Willie Loman of Blackstone, the Willie Loman who's schlepping around the world, hawking the products of Steve Schwarzman in the pro-CCP Wall Street faction. That General David Willie Loman Petraeus, in his quote-unquote brilliant article about Confederate generals, missed the point of McClellan and West Point trained. And hey, I say this as a father of an alumni of West Point, very proud, and she's proud. It was her 10th anniversary of her graduation. Couldn't even go up, but forget the coup d'etat that General McClellan and others tried to around Lincoln, around this whole concept of the Emancipation Proclamation, and before the Battle of Antietam, of which he was summarily dismissed right afterwards. So, Jack Maxey, don't be bringing your Philadelphia main line here stuff here. No. It's a very technical discussion, but Juneteenth, we're going to have Raynard Jackson. We get so much going on and talking about history out in Portland, Oregon, one of the great towns in the Pacific Northwest. If you had a chance, and if you're a listener, we want to hear all the feedback of War Room, hashtag War Room Pandemic. Particularly love having feedback from Democrats and love having feedback from people around the world. We're on the John Fredericks Radio Network, 99.1, 103.9. Also, America's Voice.news, the streaming platform. They'll be in Tulsa tomorrow, subject to, I guess, a judge making a decision today. Right? I think they're in court in Tulsa, and they're in court on the Bolton book. We're going to get to all this. Very jam show today. Only signal, no noise, okay? Also, Newsmax TV and G Media, G News in Mandarin, ISIS.net and Nexus.org, all of that. Okay, with our distribution platforms. I want to thank everybody in the live chat and YouTube. Go there right now. Let us hear your comments. We've got a jam show. Chris Kobach and Rosemary Jinks are going to be on at the bottom of the hour all the way through 11 o'clock to go through DACA in detail. That's the signal. The DACA decision yesterday and what President Trump's got to do about it is going to be a big deal, and you're going to hear from 2 experts. Chris Kobach, and you're going to hear from Rosemary Jenks from Numbers USA, one of the two top experts, I think, in the country on this. We had sessions on yesterday talk about DACA. So, Raheem.
Just wanted to make a point. The date when that was happening here in the United States, Juneteenth. You know, it was around the same time, and in the years preceding that as well, that the British were actually fighting the slave trade in Africa.
They had legislatively killed it in the early 19th century.
1807.
1807, right? At the time, people forget fighting the massive Napoleonic Wars, right? This great conflict between France and... but you killed they legislatively, Wilberforce, etc. But as you find out many times in life, it then takes military action or force to actually get something accomplished, right? And so... and wasn't Baden-Powell part of that? Tell me, they had expeditions into Africa to stop the slave trade?
So, yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago, protesters in the United Kingdom tried to remove the statue of Lieutenant General Robert Baden-Powell, the founder of the Boy Scouts. So I went back and started to look at actually who Baden-Powell really was, what he had said, what his positions were, why he was demonized. And there's no doubt that later in life, Baden-Powell made some pretty egregious comments, and much like a lot of the British political establishment regarding the rise of Nazi Germany. But during his active life in the military, he was actually one of the commanders who was sent down to the Ashanti Kingdom to put down King Prempeh I, who was donned in kente cloth, the same cloth that Nancy Pelosi and these guys wore, and he would sell his own people not just for slavery and servitude, but actually for human sacrifice.
In fact, that was the principle. They were going to stop the human sacrifice and the slavery. And didn't USA Today, I think we broke this. I'm pretty proud. I think it was a Jew or Jack Maxey that came up with when Nancy Pelosi and the other Democratic leadership knelt for 8 minutes and 46 seconds in commemoration of Mr. Floyd, his trials in Minneapolis. They actually wore the kente cloth, and I think it was you two guys that broke the thing the very first morning it happened. That came from, that really represented. We pulled the video from the EWTN commentator who informed us that it was from the actual slave trade and actually that. And we have a fact check now, official fact check.
Yeah, and I don't want to take credit for it. I'll take credit for sort of laying out the history of Baden-Powell and how this all came together. But I don't
she should take the credit for it. But at least we found the video.
Absolutely, she should.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, we wrote about it and went through the history of this thing, and it kind of...
This is at the National Pulse?
It was at the Pulse, and it floated around the internet for a couple of days, but nobody had really pulled it all into one place, and we went through it here on the show as well. And interestingly, Jack, you found that the USA Today paper has done a fact check on this, and the headline is, fact check, yes, kente cloths were historically worn by empire involved in West African slave trade. And it's got a big picture of Nancy Pelosi in the kente cloth there on the USA Today story.
Has she made any comments or any statements about that?
Not yet.
Has she made any comments about being present when her father had those 3 statues of Confederate generals put
when
up
he was
in
mayor?
Baltimore?
When he was mayor of Baltimore?
This is 1948, people. This is not before the end of time.
Kente, I want to go to now what happened.
Other statues.
Yeah, look, this is, we got polling, and Greg and Jack are all over this, but this polling, it's all over Drudge, it's all over everywhere, starting from last week. The numbers are now starting to come in that America is uncertain where it is, depressed where it is, doesn't know. You see it now coming across in numbers that are huge. That's where the fourth turning's about, right? It's about uncertainty. It's about turmoil. You see people are very uncertain about all this, the numbers, and it shouldn't be lost on anyone that President Trump's polls continue to drop. There's a Fox News poll last night of down by 12. And Kellyanne went out and made the argument in national polls. I understand she's running national polls, but the key is his number at 38 to 43%, even in the battleground states. That's a problem. And here's the thing: you can't talk your way to this. People say we should make a speech, make Olaf's address. This is not a time for talk. This is a time for action. Action, action, action. People are tired of talk. People want to see actions, and they want to see bold actions. They want to see bold actions on jobs, and we're going to talk later. Raynard's going to be in here to talk about the PPP program. Jobs, law and order, China, right? That's what they want to hear about, and they want to see numbers. Remember, the numbers that count are the are the number of dead, right? I think we're now at we're closing in on 120,000, and the guys in Seattle have just come out with the University of Washington has come out and said there's going to be over 200,000 by election day. That's a number that's going to have to be grappled with. Jack Maxey in the second hour is going to talk about what's happening on the pandemic coming out of Beijing, particularly guys in Taiwan. Once again, hey, if you don't think Taiwan's going to get some sort of intrusion by the CCP, who are shutting down Australia right now on a cyber attack that's massive. If you had, by the way, trouble with your cell phone the other day, don't think it's a zero probability that wasn't some massive DDoS attack from our friends in CCP. The whole East Coast, everybody had massive cell problems. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, but there's also no coincidences. They're showing the world right now in Australia, if you stand up to us, this is what you got in store for you. And the Australian government has essentially called them out, right? It started as a big state actor, and now they're saying, hey, that big state actor happens to be directly north of us on the mainland of Asia, called the Chinese Communist Party. But I think some activities last night in Portland, Oregon, it was Posobiec and you guys that said immediately that this thing's going to spread to other cities. It's just not going to be in Seattle. It's going to spread. Portland, Oregon, it looks like is there a beginning of a Chaz area or a CHOP area? And what did they do to General Washington?
Well, there was the beginning of an autonomous zone in Portland, and there's still kind of a back and forth between police and protesters. Police actually did move in on it pretty quickly and try and dismantle it, and did dismantle it. But there's still
dismantle the Chaz.
The Chaz, and there's still a lot of effort and a lot of chatter, by the way, that I'm monitoring on social media about how they put it back together and where they want to do it and how they avoid getting into confrontations with, they don't want direct confrontations with police. They actually want to just be left to build these things themselves and left alone. And actually, we'll get into the comments Jack found yesterday as well. Jack's having a hell of a week with Mayor Durkin back when she was the Washington attorney.
She was the federal attorney for the western part of Washington state, and she said during that period of time when the guys were arguing over the BLM land and saying that all this land should be given to the states, and there were 12 guys out there, the Bundys, what have you. She said any two people creates a conspiracy. They showed up with guns, that means they're violent. They dug little trenches around the property, that means they've destroyed government property. Yep. All of these are felonies, and they need to be prosecuted.
Mayor Durkin is the mayor of Olympia, Washington, correct? Does she shortchange her? Didn't she call BLM and Antifa? Mayor Durkin, Seattle. I'm talking about the mayor of Olympia when they trashed her house, also the domestic terrorist.
Right.
She goes from taking a knee to their domestic terrorist. Durkin's an interesting character. You're right. I mean, she called out the Bundy, and this is where my point of the right-wing militias. Right-wing militias, two people, a conspiracy, that adds extra time in a federal prison, right? It makes it easier to prosecute. But she's got, hey, note to Mayor Durkin, go out after hours in Seattle, right?
Hey,
start with the John Brown Gun Club.
Note to ourselves, if Donald Trump loses in November, she'll probably be a Supreme Court justice.
If Donald Trump loses in November, that phrase actually came across Donald Trump's lips last night in the interview with Don Jr. If I lose in November. What is this, if I lose in November? You got to remember, we're burning the boats on the beach, right? There's no retreat. You got to march forward. It's not if, it's how big we win, not if we win. Is it 303, another electoral landslide, or is it 270? Is Maine 2 put us over the top? Theoretically, this is one that'll get you. Theoretically, there's actually a real possibility it could be 269 to 269. Not that I've run the numbers. I'm busy taking down the CCP. I don't have time to focus on the campaign.
And Steve, with the 2020 election and the poll that you mentioned, 43% of independents are currently undecided. So that's going to be a major battleground.
It's action. This thing's up in the air. Don't get depressed.
He's got to start.
He was 14 points down with 88 days ago. Not a problem. No, this thing's going to be different. You can't wait. I saw some buried lead in the thing the other day. Wait till August. You can't do that. Every day is election day right now. Action. Yes,
I
sir.
told you we wouldn't get it all in there.
We didn't get anything in. Okay, hold it. We're gonna try. Well, you got to take the mic away from me. Okay, signal from the noise. We're going to come back. Raynard Jackson, but we've got some other videos we got to tee up first. VOA, Portland, Oregon, and Mika, our girl Mika, this morning on Morning Joe.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. I tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. 15 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota.
I really like the fact that it was made in the USA. I think that USA products are a better quality product. I've tried a lot of other pillows, and nothing's worked like MyPillow.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now to give you deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but also my mattress toppers, sheets, and so much more. For example, you can get body pillows regularly $89.99, now only $29.99, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
I used to think that sheets were just sheets. I got the Giza Dream sheets. They are the most comfortable sheets I've ever had.
The Go Anywhere pillow is so easy to just roll up and take anywhere I want to go.
Go Anywhere pillow is really comfortable, so that's what I really like. It's nice and supportive, and it's nice and small.
The MyPillow topper, for the first time, has enabled me to have a cool night's sleep. I'm able to go to bed and just get rest.
That's 3 inches of wonderful that's in the MyPillow mattress topper. It's just like a firm cloud.
MyPillow helps me get a good night's sleep so I can do my job in the morning.
Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts, not just on my pillows, but so much more. For example, you get body pillows regularly $89.99, now only $29.99, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
This is Kate.
Hey.
She takes 2 prescriptions. Kate's son Jack takes 1 too. Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance. But she still pays too much. That's no good. So Kate downloaded the GoodRx app. Now she can compare prescription prices to find the best discounts. She even beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
What kind of world do you want to live in?
I want people to wear what they want.
I want to bring pride back to our communities.
I want us to be free to talk about mental health.
I want humanity to reconnect with nature.
I want sustainable to be the solution, not the alternative.
Make the world you want. You've got the power, we've got the tools. And now, take your online presence to the next level with the new GoDaddy Websites Plus Marketing.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, we're going to get back on track here. First, Greg, give me the number on evangelicals coming out of these polls.
41% support right now.
41% President Trump. Now, the official number was 65% in 16, but I will tell you, it actually was a lot higher when you looked at you look at the way it was described. So 41% does not work. Okay, action, action, action. I understand people are depressed. This is not this is a week, but this is hey, it's called the United States of America. You got to fight. I don't hear no whining. Okay, no whining. Get out of the fetal position. Get up on hash. The first thing you do, you know what you can do, is become an agent of information. Right? What you do is you push this show out. Not just the shows, you push out the topics. You become, here's what you do. Become obnoxious in your family and your friend circle of like talking about these topics and linking to things that other people haven't seen. We specialize in looking over the other side of the next hill. This is the show for the signal, not the noise. We're going to bring in Raynard Jackson, a African-American entrepreneur. Going to talk to us about PPP, everything that's happening on the economy, but also about the commemoration of Juneteenth and about what's happening out in Washington, or state of Portland, Oregon, where they're taking down the statue of General Washington. They took down Thomas Jefferson outside of a high school the other day. And President Trump's things, when does it all stop? Let's get that. But our girl, and I don't mean a woman. She's a woman. Mika.
Karen?
Is it Karen? Karen? It's Karen. Okay, Karen Brzezinski.
I thought that was a legal name change.
Per Karen and Chad. Is it, he's Chad?
Chop.
Karen and Chop.
It's Karen and Chop. No, okay. Then we have an audio of Morning Joe.
Let's roll it.
One more big media story that went under the radar this week. On his first day on the job since being approved by the U.S. Senate, Michael Pack, President Trump's choice to head the U.S. Agency for Global Media, which oversees congressionally funded broadcasting services, fired the chiefs of those government-sponsored broadcast networks for foreign audiences. NPR reports that Pack dissolved the advisory boards over each of the networks, such as Radio Free Europe, Radio Free Asia, and placed his own aides above them, and also stripped his own agency's senior leadership by stripping them of their authority. The New York Times reports Pack's moves were criticized as an effort to turn the news organizations under the United States Agency for Global Media into partisan outlets. The organizations receive funding from the American government but operate independently. Pack is a close ally of former White House advisor Stephen Bannon, who has long urged Trump to take charge of the news organizations and reshape them to his purposes. Tom Rogers, your thoughts real quick?
Well, the Barr Justice Department put forward legislative proposal to make them essentially speech police, and this is another example of the Trump administration looking to insert
thanks,
themselves in.
Okay, here's the thing, Karen Brzezinski, have you ever had any of the dissonance? This is what it's all about. Cause has nothing to do with making this of what is happening in the Chinese Communist Party, in the People's Republic of China, to the Uyghurs, to the Tibetan Buddhists, to Falun Gong, to the Underground House Christians, to the democracy movement, Tiananmen Square. Have we had one show? Mika, go back over all the years of Morning Joe with Chad, and because isn't it Karen and Chad? Isn't that the couple? Karen and Chad.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm making it up. Karen and Chad. Chad Scarborough, and give me one time you've had Maura Monahan or you've had anybody from the East Turkestan movement, you've had any of the House Christians, go back over the many years. In fact, go back to the Scarborough country. Show me any time you've had these dissidents, which we have on every Saturday. Voices of these people. That's what it's about. And this is the lazy MSNBC and mainstream media just going to sit there, drink their cups of coffee, and say, oh, it's all about President Trump. It's not about Donald J. Trump. What it's about is finally these organizations that are legendary in taking down the Soviets, right, of which your father, to be brutally frank, had the rapprochement, détente, Carter's tremendous foreign policy, right, that led to his landslide defeat by guess who? We win, Ronald, we win, they lose, Reagan, he of the evil empire. The last time the firestorm of Bolton and the Gates guys and all these guys. Incredible. Okay, I want to play. Did we play the thing from organization? I got to get Reynard in here.
I just want to add to that as well. I mean, the gall of Karen to talk about partisanship. What does she think these outlets have been pushing for the last 25, 30 years? Is they've been pushing neoliberal partisanship.
Exactly.
What I want to do here, Steve, is
the globalist agenda, Karen.
Bring Reynard in,
yeah,
but we'll get the America's Voice guys to roll the clip over the top.
Fine, not the audio, but the video. Hey,
we'll roll the video.
So, Reynard, a couple of things. The statue of General Washington, we're in Washington, D.C. The statue of General Washington is being taken down in Portland, Oregon. They took down Thomas Jefferson the other day. Talk to people, first off, about Juneteenth. It's the 155th anniversary. Talk to us about the celebration. What has it meant, the commemoration? And then I want to talk to about General Washington and some of these other things that are happening.
Thanks, Steve and Raheem. Juneteenth, remember when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, this is before the internet and email and instant communication. And so that was a 3, 4, 5 month lag from the time the people in the Northeast had received notification that slavery had officially ended before it translated down to the South, specifically Texas. And so that's kind of the origin of Juneteenth, is when a lot of blacks in the South were notified officially that slavery was over, because the North knew about it, but it was the South that was a delay for all the obvious reasons. And so in the South, Juneteenth is a huge holiday, huge celebration, and that's kind of the backdrop of where Juneteenth comes from. And it's big in Texas, really big in Texas.
It's big, and it's a day like almost like am I wrong in this? Is a 4th of July day? It's celebrations. It's been picnics.
Independence Day.
Celebrations of it's Independence Day. It's a Freedom Day. It's been one that's always been, I think, it commemorates what happened, but has been generally very positive. Is that correct? I remember growing up in the South, Juneteenth was a very positive, upbeat, picnics, family thing, but also commemorating exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge on the family side.
Now, do you think Juneteenth is going to be commemorated like going forward like that? Do you anticipate some Antifa or some of the cultural Marxists will try to take it in a different direction? Or you anticipate it'll still be the commemoration that it's been?
Well, of course, I think these crazy radical liberals like Antifa and even the members of the Black Caucus and Northam, the governor of Virginia here, isn't it amazing, Steve, that 2 days ago he declared Juneteenth a paid state holiday for Virginia workers? So why?
Look, I don't have a problem. I don't have a listen, but I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that he's a stone cold. I mean, he's lied about that photo of him either in the blackface or in the Klan outfit, right? He's lied about that consistently. He's either one or the other, and either one of them are, just not, I don't think, acceptable, right? So and he's lied about that consistently.
Yeah, but see, the
Perhaps
point
we can
is,
get the
Steve,
Washington
you see
Post.
all these You see all these liberals becoming supposedly woke in the black community. But isn't it amazing, Steve, that all this wokeness going on, none of it is policy driven? It's symbolism. It's making you feel good. It's touchy-feely. These statues coming down, Steve, celebrating Juneteenth, while I support that, it is not creating one job in the black community. It's not preventing one death in the black community. It's not getting one more kid a decent education. So the Democrats are focused on the symbolism and the touchy-feely nature. If we in the conservative movement, Steve, would do a better job of communicating what our policies are to deal with it, then all that symbolic stuff is appropriate. But right now, I can give a damn about symbolism, Steve. Americans are hurting. Black folks are hurting, and symbolism just doesn't cut it right now.
Well, that's what we keep talking about is action. Talk about the PPP program. You're one of the leading entrepreneurs out there. Has it worked? There's still $130 billion left, but they're talking about another phase. They're going to have to get more. We only got about a minute and a half left. What if you were sitting there with President Trump? Tell me what action you want him to take.
Well, number one, I would call the CEOs of all the big banks, Bank of America, Chase, J.P. Morgan, etc., put them in a room and read them the riot act. This is one of the few areas, Steve, that Maxine Waters and I can get along perfectly on, because every time banks and financial institutions get in trouble, they come to the federal government and the taxpayers for a bailout. They get a bailout, and then they never help the small and minority business community. They keep the money among their friends or dividends repurchase and all that stuff. We need to call these big banks on the carpet. That's the problem with PPP. The money goes in, but the money's not coming out.
You would tell President Trump on PPP for the next phase, you think it also, there's $130 billion that hasn't been touched yet, but you think it needs another infusion like Marco Rubio and others? You think it needs more capital put to it?
Yeah, but it has to be narrowly focused. I don't want to see Shake Shack and the Los Angeles Lakers being shamed into giving money back. The program should have been written in a way that they didn't even qualify. So, and then the other thing, Steve, again, as I talk a lot on your show, is we conservatives, this White House, this administration has got to do a better job of communicating directly to the small business people. And Steve, where's the bully pulpit of the White House? Where's Steve Mnuchin on these economic issues? We need to bring together some small entrepreneurs into D.C. and meet with the president, the Secretary of Treasury, Jovita Carranza at SBA. There is just no messaging. There's no public optics out there, and we're getting our butts kicked, Steve.
Okay. We're going to bounce. I'm going to give you your Twitter feed when we come back after break. Rainier Jackson, we need you back in the cabinet room is what we need, Rainier. Lighten up the media with the president right there. Okay, we're going to come back. Chris Kobach, Rosemary Jenks, DACA next on War Room Pandemic.
From roof to foundation, the damage to your home can be devastating, from clogged gutters, leaking roofs, rotting wood and fascia, and flooded basements. Protect your entire home with Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system. Once our ladders go up, you can put yours down forever.
One of the things that I like the most is that I don't have to get back on the ladder anymore.
Leaf Filter starts by cleaning, sealing, and realigning your gutters. We then install our micro mesh screen over your existing gutters, which is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water.
Trying other products is what made us finally go to Leaf Filter.
And Leaf Filter's lifetime transferable warranty makes it an extraordinary value.
Leaf Filter is going to make my home more valuable, especially when I go to sell it.
Call 833-LEAF-FILTER or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Call or log on today and save 15%.
I'm Nick Bolton, and these days...
Hey there.
Hey there. It seems everybody has a pair of tactical sunglasses.
Good morning.
Morning. But what if you already wear glasses? Then you need these flip-up tack glasses. These new glasses fit right over your existing eyewear to give you all the benefits of our tack glasses while you comfortably wear your regular glasses. Plus, like all tack glasses, flip-up tack glasses feature Bell & Howell light filtering technology that makes invisible objects suddenly become visible. There's just nothing like them on the market today. Here you go, buddy.
Thanks, Nick.
Act now to get your flip-up tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship them to you free. But wait, order today and you can get a second pair. Just pay a separate fee. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-284-4127 or go to flipupglasses.com. That's 1-800-284-4127 or order online at flipupglasses.com.
Have you or a loved one taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer? You may be entitled to compensation. The FDA just announced that it is requesting manufacturers withdraw from the market all prescription and over-the-counter ranitidine heartburn medications, commonly known by the brand name Zantac. This is the latest step in an ongoing investigation of a contaminant known as NDMA in ranitidine heartburn medications. NDMA is a chemical that the FDA and World Health Organization both classify as cancer-causing. Now, prior to this announcement, CVS and Walgreens pulled Zantac from their shelves, citing the link between Zantac, NDMA, and cancer. If you or a loved one have taken Zantac or another heartburn medication and developed cancer, how do you fight for the compensation you deserve? You choose the right legal team that has the experience, support staff, and resources to seek the most compensation for your injuries. Call for more information and a free case review.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
In uncertain times, if you're an entrepreneur, you need some level of certainty. What you particularly need is NetSuite by Oracle, and you need to get the 7 steps that entrepreneurs need to be taking in these turbulent times. Go to netsuite.com/Bannon, Bannon, and get your copy today. Remember, if your business is $1 million to $100 million, you need to get NetSuite by Oracle. And make sure you go get the 7 action steps you're taking today. We're going to have Chris Kobach join us momentarily, but I want to clean up. We're running behind schedule as we always do on an action-packed day like today. It's all signal, no noise. Jack, you had some observations about the tape that was running on with our distribution partners. If you're not getting this on radio, we actually have a visual of what happened in Portland, Oregon overnight with the statue of General Washington.
But what to me was sort of horrifying about it is they actually wrapped an American flag around the general's head, and it was obviously made of nylon. They set it on fire, and so that fire you see around his head is melting nylon coming down. I mean,
of Old Glory.
Can you imagine our ancestors? Remember what they said of Washington? First in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of his countrymen. And now we are destroying this in town squares all across America.
Folks, it's 1968, and this is you were in China. This is Red Guard. That's Red Guard stuff. It's 1792, I think the year is. It's Paris, France, French Revolution, right? This is the Cultural Revolution. This is what the French revolutionaries, not the guys that started, but the Reign of Terror, right? The Reign of Terror, the Committee of 12 of Public Safety, I think it was called. And you're seeing it right now.
And we have to make mention of the fact, and I wonder if you can, the guys at America's Voice can put up the still image that we have as well of this down statue, because we have to make mention of the fact that the numbers 1619, 1619 were graffitied on the side of the down statue, and the 1619 is a reference to the date which the anti-1776ers, the people who say America wasn't founded in 1776, it was founded when the first slaves were brought to these shores. This is a project that was started by the New York Times Magazine, the 1619 Project. Nicole Hannah-Jones and all of these op-eds that you see, and now it's actually in schools. They're trialing this as curricula in certain schools. The 1619 Project is really the academic and intellectual way of pushing back against America's founding and America's history, and it's no shock to me that these people out on the streets, that it is filtered down to them.
One other thing, they also had on the pedestal was the plinth, I think you call it, right? In England, the plinth. It had genocidal maniac.
Yeah. Genocidal colonist.
Genocidal colonist. Genocidal colonist.
You know who's largely to blame for what we're watching happen right now? The public school teachers. How can these children be so ignorant?
Well, you can't blame them.
Wait a second.
They're given the curriculum. I disagree with that. They're given the curriculum.
Well, then maybe they should fight back. We know darn well that they fight to keep those charter schools from happening every year.
It's the school boards. It's where the content is authorized. It's at the state level and the county school board. The teachers are just the dissemination product. Once again, Jack Maxey picking on the wrong target. Keep on unions. I know it.
Listen,
I forget it. You're right wing. I know it. This is standard Republican orthodoxy.
Who is responsible? I mean,
responsible is to allow that content. And look, what you're seeing is Howard Zinn's "The People's History of the United States" has been disseminated down as the standard text that America. This is why I say it's got to be confronted head on by conservative clergy of color, the Rainier Jacksons, the entrepreneurs. They have to engage in this. Is it structural racism? I think Mike Allen and the guys at Axios today comes out. He's going to have a whole thing for the whole year on structural racism. To me, intellectually, it's got to be combated. It's got to be taken out and argued. This is why I've said President Trump should call a presidential commission on policing and minorities. And I think that ought to be one of the topics. I'm not saying run away from that topic. Hey, this is the United States of America. We argue this thing through, we fight this stuff through, and you come to, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, right? I don't want to get into too much dialectical materialism here, but that's kind of how things go forward. It should be argued, it should be debated, not just all of a sudden thrown down as holy writ, and the deplatforming is that you can't even discuss it. It should be discussed and should be debated, but I don't think you can blame the school teachers. The school teachers are given a curriculum to execute upon.
Well, I think we can blame the entire system. I think we can blame state colleges.
I tell you who I'm going to blame. I'm going to blame Jack Maxey, and I'm going to blame the conservatives for losing elections, allowing this to happen. This doesn't appear overnight. You sit there and blame that. You sit there. No, this is everybody in this audience. You're to blame. You're to blame. You're to blame. I'm to blame. All of us are to blame. It just didn't come out of anywhere. This has been going on. Been arguing and whining about this for 30 and 40 years. Okay? This didn't happen overnight. Just like the French Revolution didn't happen overnight, the Cultural Revolution didn't happen overnight. These things build up. They build up. And they weren't vetted. And one of the reasons is, let's go back to Voice of America. The Republican Party under Bush put Michael Pack into PBS when they wanted to kind of take more control of PBS and get more of a conservative nature in PBS and NPR, and they blinked. They got rid of Pack right away. The Republican establishment has never wanted to kind of confront this or take it on, right? And it's got to be, I think the Claremont guys now have a program, some small program, and that's the thing, the conservative clergy of color. You've got Rainier Jackson's entrepreneurial group. We're going to hopefully launch in the next week a black law enforcement officers are partnering with these guys to get their voices out there more often. But that's, you have to provide platforms for this. And we shouldn't just have to provide platforms in times of emergencies or riots. And when one of these things happens, that's what happens. Everybody's lazy. Here's the other thing. If you go back and look at the French Revolution, if you go back and look at the Red Guard, you look at Antifa. I made a film of these guys 10 years ago with Andrew Breitbart. And I didn't know anything about it. Breitbart was all into this. And as soon as I opened my eyes, this is when Mark Cuban, 8 years ago, is my producer, Dan Flewitt, Occupy en masse. And we're going to get this back up because here's the one thing. And they remember, Dan, we made it. It was so violent. When Cuban's company bought it, it got an X rating. It was going to be unrated, and we couldn't even get the DVDs out. We had to go back to the footage and take some of the footage that was so violent. But here's what I'll tell you. Those people are dedicated. They work every day. They're in your grill, and they're working and they're organizing. And grit and determination and indefatigability often wins. Remember, 80% of life is showing up. They show up all the time. So I don't want to hear any whining, and I don't want to blame the teachers. Jack, fight back. Those people love this stuff.
No, hold on.
I'm blowing up standard.
Let me define what is wrong with American public education right now. I'll say it for our whole audience, okay? The bottom half of every high school graduating class who go to college go to what they call state college teachers universities. So the bottom half of your high school graduates end up becoming the teachers. I'm not saying it's the teacher's fault.
You just started to tell me it was a teacher's fault.
I'm saying that we have a system that moves the least qualified into positions of teaching, and then we run them through colleges that are very substandard.
Jack, the problem is you keep sending your kids to these schools. The problem is that there isn't. And Steve, you took the words.
You went to Catholic school, didn't you?
Steve, you took the words out of my mouth.
You didn't. No. Okay, I can blame that terrible information on government schools.
Yeah. Listen, I mean,
keep going.
You took the words out of my mouth because here's the thing: our side, we're always looking for a scapegoat. We're always looking for a way that we don't blame ourselves and go, "This happened on our watch."
On our watch.
And you talk about Republicans losing elections. No. This happened when Republicans are winning elections.
This is my point.
Okay.
Thank you.
So let's be.
You've had the state houses. You've had that one time we had under Obama. We had 2/3 of the state houses.
Yeah. My turn. My rant.
Go.
No, listen. You want to know why I assail groups like the Heritage Foundation here on Capitol Hill for taking Google money and that sort of thing? It's because these guys for so very long, and whether it's the guys we're seeing on the Supreme Court or the people who come out of Heritage and go into government positions under a Republican administration, these are the people. These are the people who are happy to lose the culture and conserve nothing, right? And that's why, Jack, I love you, my brother, but we cannot blame the local teacher at some school for this happening.
I'm blaming the system of how we create teachers and the curriculum that we teach those teachers in college.
Let's get to a warrior. We'll continue this dialogue later in the next hour. Let's go to talk about somebody that's at the forefront and always taking arrows. Chris Kobach, he's running now for the United States Senate out in Kansas. I want to talk about DACA, Chris, because this is another bombshell yesterday. Just get for the audience, put in perspective what happened yesterday. What did the Supreme Court, the Kagan Court, what did the Kagan Court tell America yesterday?
Well, this was one of the worst decisions of the year, and that's saying something. This hasn't been a particularly good term. And what the court did is told the Trump administration, you tried to rescind DACA in the same manner that DACA was created, but that's not good enough. DACA was, let's go back in time. I was the attorney who brought the first case representing 10 ICE agents suing the Obama administration when they created DACA back in 2012. They didn't do it by executive order. They did it by policy memorandum issued by Janet Napolitano. And it violated the Administrative Procedure Act because it was something close to statutory in its dimensions. And they didn't even follow the Administrative Procedure Act, where you have a formal rule, publish all of that. Anyway, there are 5 different legal reasons why DACA was illegal. And the Northern District of Texas agreed with us that it was illegal for 2 reasons, and there are others. The bottom line is, fast forward, those various cases got...
Hang on. I want to be precise in this. Give me the 2, because people don't know the details. They lose it. Give me the 2 legal reasons of the 5 you put out. What were the 2 legal reasons that the court agreed with you? Why was it illegal?
Number one, and most importantly, federal law since 1996 requires ICE officers to not release someone they know to be illegally in the country. DACA ordered those ICE officers to break that federal law. And that federal law it speaks very clearly. It says, shall detain the illegal alien. The second reason it's illegal is the Administrative Procedure Act itself says if you're going to do something with this magnitude that changes the rights and responsibilities of so many people, it requires a formal regulation at a minimum. And that means publishing a proposed regulation, allowing public comment, and then answering all of the arguments against it. Obama didn't do that. They decided apparently on last minute, because the polling numbers, they wanted to energize part of the electorate for the 2012 election. They just put this thing out as a memo. And so it violated the Administrative Procedure Act. But the irony here is the Supreme Court, with Chief Justice Roberts joining the more activist liberal justices, they said, you can't terminate this illegal DACA memorandum with another memorandum saying, hey, it's illegal, we're scratching this thing. You have to go through a more formal Administrative Procedure Act process to get rid of something that was illegal from its inception. And the dissenters point that out.
Okay, so hold on, slow down, but slow down for a second. We only got a minute and a half here. We're going to keep you over the next segment if we can. Because you were part of thinking through this, what did President Trump do that got to the Supreme Court? Your action or the President Trump's action to get rid of it was what?
President Trump, first the Attorney General issued a statement saying that DACA was illegal for multiple reasons. And then the Secretary of Homeland Security issued a memorandum saying we are hereby rescinding DACA and we will do it over a 6-month period. And here are the reasons, but we agree with the Attorney General that it is illegal. And then there was a follow-on memorandum by Secretary Nielsen a few months later, again, reaffirming that it was illegal. So there were 3 memoranda that were very, I think, plenty formal, gave all of the reasons necessary, and said we are getting rid of this illegal memorandum from the Obama administration. And that wasn't good enough for the 4 liberal justices.
Hang on. We got to take a short commercial break. I'm going to come in what Robert said and what the action plan and action steps are going forward, because here in the War Room we're about action. Chris Kobach, who's running for the Senate out in Kansas, one of the architects of the Trump policies, will return with us on War Room Pandemic in just a moment.
As the COVID-19 pandemic sweeps the world, we urgently need your help. Our elderly Jewish brothers and sisters who are so precious to God have no access to food, medicine, or to keep themselves safe from the virus. And right now, we must take extraordinary measures during these extraordinary times to fulfill what it says in God's holy scriptures. Comfort ye, my people.
Your $25 will help rush an emergency food box filled with life-saving food and germ-fighting supplies to an elderly person in Israel.
This is Shoshana. She's a 97-year-old widow who lives in Jerusalem. She tells us about the day Joseph Mengele sent her parents and grandparents to the gas chambers. Her pain is evident even today. We can't change the past, but we can do something now. Our teams are on the ground delivering emergency aid and food boxes to elderly Jews across Israel.
Your gift of only $25 helps provide a box filled with life-saving food and sanitizing supplies like wipes, gloves, and soap. Each box is delivered to the doorstep of an elderly Jew fighting to stay alive. Please call 1-800-538-1166 or go online today.
I strongly believe that supporting Israel is one of the most meaningful things that a believer can do. It's why I personally approve of and support the life-saving work of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews.
Go online or call right now. You can be a miracle for an elderly Jew today.
At Leaf Filter, we're on a never-ending journey to end gutter cleaning forever. Whoa! Way too dangerous, Bill. Say goodbye to that ladder. Way too clogged, Melissa. Those black gutters are causing serious damage to your home. Look at these cracks in your foundation. Leaf Filter, the nation's #1 rated gutter protection system, will keep you safe and protect your home. Leaf Filter's stainless micromesh screen fits over your existing gutters and is guaranteed to filter out everything except for water. No more leaves or debris in your gutters for the life of your home. Schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate, just like Paul. With Leaf Filter's lifetime warranty, we guarantee you'll never have to clean those nasty gutters again. Everybody okay with that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
sure am. Call 833 Filter or go to getleaffilter.com for your free gutter inspection and estimate. Act now and save 15% off your purchase.
War Room Pandemic with Stephen K. Bannon.
The epidemic is a demon, and we cannot let this demon hide.
War Room Pandemic. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
I know it makes you feel better. Okay, I know it makes you feel better to pick on, go for the teachers and the support Jack Mag. You all feel good? Is this all everybody in the live chat? Everybody on hashtag War Room Pandemic? Are you feeling good? I don't want you to feel good. You're losing. We're losing. Okay, embrace the suck. Okay, embrace the suck. And as soon as your instruments start winning, you're going to start focusing on the right targets. The target is not the teachers. Don't get me wrong. Teachers' unions got tons of problems with, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where you focus on the grundoons, okay? Go back to the headwaters and keep piling in. I love it. I love the deplorables. I love the hashtag War Room. But your focus, I want you first to embrace the suck, okay? Because you're losing. And don't say, oh, you're so down. You're losing. We're losing. It's okay. History goes in cycles.
Well, one interesting
history goes in cycles.
There's a recent poll out that says that as many as 60%, they say a minimum of 40%. Now, this probably will be lower, but between 40 and 60% of parents are not going to send their kids back to public school in the fall. They're going to continue homeschooling them.
Listen, I've gone to, my dad is a working class guy, sent 5 kids to Catholic school all the way through, okay? I've always sent to private schools. I believe in that. It's not but that's a different topic. That's a different topic. The schools, the problem is not the teachers, and there are plenty of problems with teacher unions. The problem is the way the system has flowed down the content. Howard Zinn is now taught that the teacher didn't get to individually pick that. It was the curriculum that got presented to him. But we got to get. I digress. We'll get to this in the next hour. We got Kobach. I get Kobach and DACA. And first off, look, we're living in turbulent times, right? That's why if you're an entrepreneur, you need a software tool that gives you operating leverage. That is NetSuite by Oracle. Go to netsuite.com/Bannon, Bannon. Oracle is the leading platform on the cloud. This is a software package that is used by over 20,000 businesses. The reason is it allows you to organize all your different software into one package. Okay, NetSuite by Oracle. I want to go back to Chris Kobach. Okay, Chris, so tell us what specifically Judge Roberts, who's the head of the Supreme Court of the Kagan Court, what did he say, given you've laid out a pretty straightforward case? What did Roberts' opinion say, and then what's the action steps President Trump has to take from here?
The Roberts opinion basically said President Trump's Department of Homeland Security didn't follow the Administrative Procedure Act, that the Obama amnesty, the DACA amnesty, clearly violated in multiple ways. And the opinion basically said you have to, in order to not be arbitrary and capricious, the Trump administration needs to lay out all of the arguments and has to address certain counter arguments, and they didn't do that in these 2 memos. Well, fine. Then that gives us a very clear path forward. Just do what Chief Justice Roberts says we have to do, which, by the way, is a ridiculous opinion, but answer the various arguments that he says need to be answered before you can rescind DACA. Issue a new memorandum, not in 2 months, but
what are the we got about 3.5, 4 minutes. Walk us through what are the things that have to be answered. They don't sound earth-shattering. What has to be answered?
It's not earth-shattering at all. It's the argument that the DACA aliens, there are about 700,000 of them, that they have a reliance interest, that somehow because Obama gave them this illegal amnesty, they have relied on it and they have some legal interests that are created by the fact they are assuming they are legally here. Never mind, by the way, that the DACA amnesty itself, even Obama's attorneys were smart enough to say this doesn't give you legal presence in the United States. And you don't have any rights based on this to further presence beyond what the administration deems necessary to give you. Anyway, address that argument. Address additional arguments about the legality or illegality of DACA. It's basically a checkoff of a few things that the liberals on the court and Justice Roberts said you have to address. And Steve, I want to point something out here. This is exactly the same way Roberts and the liberals torpedoed President Trump's perfectly legitimate effort to put the citizenship question back on the census. There, too, it was an Administrative Procedure Act issue. Nobody disagreed that the president couldn't add the citizenship question, are you a U.S. citizen, to the census. And here, all nine justices agree.
But hang on. Why did the administration cave on the citizenship? If it was just to check a couple of boxes, which I said, why did they cave? Because there's no citizenship question on there. Why did they cave?
They caved because of time constraints. They said the Census Bureau, the Department of Commerce, was saying, "Oh, we don't have time. We got to get these forms printed." And remember, that decision came down in that summer, and so the pressure from within the administration said we can't go through all the hoops and hurdles fast enough. But here we don't have time constraints. And furthermore, what the president needs to do, what his administration needs to do, can be done in a week. Issue a new memorandum addressing all the questions that the Chief Justice laid out, and we don't have forms to print.
Okay. But Kobach, is it going to get done in a week?
I don't know. I hope the Department of Homeland Security is on it. I hope they are moving fast, but the history of that agency is they don't tend to move very fast. So it's going to take pressure from the Oval Office to say, look, get this done. And remember, this was a promise the president made in 2016, very clearly in that speech in Phoenix. He followed through on his promise in 2017 as president. And we're in a situation with 40 million Americans unemployed. And we have 4 million graduates who just came out of college and high school this year. Those DACA aliens are in their late 20s now, and they're competing directly against our U.S. citizens. So there's yet another compelling argument for not allowing 700,000 illegal aliens to remain in the United States, competing against our own kids. This is a matter of urgency for so many people who can't find work right now.
Okay, Chris, how do people get access to your campaign? How do they get access to your Twitter account, to your campaign, all of that?
The campaign website is chriskobach.com, KRISKOBACH.com. Facebook page, Chris Kobach, 1787. They can find all the information they need there. It's a open U.S. seat. It's one of only 4 seats in the whole Senate, and it's a real dogfight in the primary. The primary is on August 4th.
Where's your Congressman Marshall's, I think his name? Where does he stand on this on DACA? Is he a fire breather like you?
No. In fact, he was one of 38 House rhinos who sent a letter to President Trump asking for 83,000 more additional guest workers when Americans are trying to find jobs. It's nonsense. Lou Dobbs referred to them as rhinos on his report after it happened. But yeah, we're polar opposites. He also thinks he doesn't think a wall is feasible. And, he voted for amnesty, et cetera. Go down the list.
We got to get him down to El Paso. Okay, Chris Kobach, thank you very much for joining us. #WarRoomPandemic. I think we're going to do a poll on #WarRoomPandemic. Who's winning this fight, Jack or Steve? Let's not. Okay, audience, embrace the suck. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to make you winners, okay? So right now, embrace the suck. We're going to have Rosemary Jinks, Numbers USA, more DACA when we return.
Pain, swelling, stiffness. When your hands hurt, you can't function. Until now. Introducing the new Copperfit compression gloves with sure grip technology to give you more power, more control, and more agility than ever. Our most advanced copper-infused compression fabric woven into an ultra-lightweight performance glove that fits like a second skin to support relief and recovery of sore muscles and painful joint stiffness. And new